This unit discusses the impact of project organization structure on the project. This is covered in Chapter 2 of the PMBOK Guide. This topic is also discussed in the Principles of Project Management cited. This is a small book published by PMI, which is a compendium of white papers contributed by PMI members over a number of years, and is one of the references for exam questions cited on PMI's national website. You don't necessarily have to get a copy, but it has some interesting material in it. Usually, the structure of the organization performing the project is determined by the structure of the larger organization that it is a part of. The structure has a strong impact on the project and on the level of authority the project manager has in dealing with project issues. Some organizations, particularly those that survive by doing projects for others, of necessity become good at projects and develop good organization processes, procedures, and structures which help them succeed in projects. This is considered a sign of a high level of project management maturity in the organization. There are three basic forms of organization structure that affect the project. The functional organization structure is the usual hierarchical structure of most companies and resulted from designs where different units or departments of the organization had different functional roles. This resulted from the specialization taking place in the various units. Because projects frequently impact across units, this structure is not necessarily appropriate to doing large projects. It is an excellent organization structure for things like governmental organizations because it operates through the use of policy and procedures and provides the basis for the hierarchical control of the organization without regards to the user being serviced. Matrix organizations have evolved to deal with the modern demands on organizations and lead to the dotted line reporting relationship we all live with, where there are frequently a number of people who have the authority to tell the employee what to do. This can be frustrating to the employee. A projectized organization sets up the project team so team members report exclusively to the project manager and eliminate the dual reporting conflicts that occur in the other two organization structures. It is ideally suited to doing projects. It is usually used on large, important projects where failure is not a survivable outcome. Weak, balanced, and strong matrix are used to delineate between matrix structures where there are subtle shadings of authority. The key difference to focus on is who has control of the budget for the project. If the control of the budget has not been turned over to the project manager, such that the project manager is the budget center manager, then it is at most a balanced matrix. In a strong matrix, the project manager has control over most resources, and in a projectized has control over all resources. In the weaker organization structures, the project manager must work through others to manage the project's resources. Whether the project manager is full-time or part-time depends on the organization's decision, but the chart indicates the probable status for the various structures. Larger projects frequently require administrative support for the project management team to support tracking, accounting, reporting, etc. Weak, balanced, and strong matrix are shown on the chart in the last slide. There is another term you must be familiar with, and that is the tight matrix. A tight matrix has a team that is located together. This facilitates communication and teamwork. This can be achieved in any of the structures if the team is located together. This is often the single most effective step to improving team communications and teamwork. It is critical that the project have an organizational structure that reflects the importance of the project. A project structure that does not fit the organization structure creates roadblocks to achieving project objectives, as the team is constantly working around the differing priorities of other parts of the organization. The key result of organizational structure is the authority it ends up giving the project manager to complete the work of the project. The stronger the structure, the stronger the project manager's authority. This enhances the ability of the project manager to resolve issues, direct resources, etc. The two job titles listed under low are common, and PMI presents them as having limited authority. We discuss them in the next two slides. The project expediter is a role that assists the project manager, particularly in tracking task completion and deliveries of materials or subcontracted components. This role might interface with external suppliers to ensure timely delivery of acquired resources. Generally, the expediter does not have any real authority over team members or external suppliers, and this makes the role a difficult one. The job will require good people skills. It also demands persistence in the face of non-responsive suppliers or team members. This role usually indicates that management wishes to have someone manage the project, but is reluctant to delegate any real authority. Typically, none of the team members will report to the coordinator. The coordinator may assign work to individuals in other parts of the organization, but cannot really exercise control over those individuals. The team member in this arrangement ends up needing to satisfy the coordinator as well as their regular boss, and will typically give precedence to the regular boss. Most of us today probably work in a matrix organization. The intent is to retain the efficiency of a hierarchical organization in conducting operations, yet be able to perform other tasks such as project tasks at the same time. The difficulty arises when there is more to do than can be done in a given period of time. Who is going to wait? This brings up the disadvantages of matrix operation. Since people have more than one boss, it is very easy for the team member to be overwhelmed with work. This difficulty must be dealt with through the setting of priorities. Functional managers are primarily responsible for the operation of their managed function and are probably going to give that primary responsibility preferential treatment. The project manager in most cases does not have the authority to set the priorities across functions. This leads to conflicts between functional managers and the project manager. These conflicts must be resolved in some manner if the project is to succeed. In this situation, the priority issues must generally be resolved at the level of upper management, with the project sponsor primarily responsible for getting a resolution. A project board of directors can facilitate getting to a resolution of priorities. To succeed, such a board must have representation from the customer of the project, the user of the project's product, the performing organization, and the sponsor, the person with control of the money. Incidentally, this board can serve as the authority for changes to the project scope, etc. The matrix organization gives other organizations an increased role in the project, which can improve their cooperation during the project. Clearly, the PM gains more control of the team than in a purely functional organization. A larger potential pool of resources improves responsiveness to contingencies and can support access to scarce resources not otherwise available to the project. It should improve coordination between functional participants and strives for a balance between competing objectives of time, cost, and performance. The matrix organization also provides effective channels of communication across organizational lines. Technical resources can be shared across projects. For the team member, remaining in a functional organization but serving in a matrix means that at the end of the project, the team member has a job to go back to. This can improve morale. Because team members work together to achieve project objectives, conflicts may be easier to resolve. And the team member in this arrangement is getting good exposure to the challenges of project management. To achieve a proper fit to the project at hand, the selected type of organizational structure should take these factors into consideration. If the majority of the project characteristics fall under a particular structure, that is most likely to be the appropriate structure for the project. More considerations. A few of these characteristics may need some explanation. The customer characteristic is talking about the breadth of customer types for the project and their potentially conflicting goals. Interdependency within and between refers to the complexity of the various components of the project and how interdependent they are. Differentiation is about how different the world will be after the project. In other words, how big is the change involved? Resource criticality is not much help as to organization required. As resources do the work of the project, they are always critical to completion. So perhaps the right question is, how critical is the project? The project organization tends to be very different from a bureaucracy. This chart contrasts the two. If you have ever worked in a government department, you will recognize the characteristics of the bureau. Projects are generally more fun, but entail more responsibility for the team member. Bureaus were conceived primarily in the military and the church, and are a way of distributing authority in an organization while retaining top-level control. They are a good fit in those organizations, but have difficulty being as flexible and responsive as they need to be in doing projects. They are very much oriented to operating and not to changing. The existence of a PMO can serve to improve project outcomes in any of the organizational forms. The processes, methodologies, and procedures serve any project regardless of its organization. This is one of the key functions that the PMO can provide. The result is a systematic approach to project management that achieves improved outcomes. Do not confuse the PMS with the PMIS, Project Management Information System.